My first job was in a Nigerian business called Tequila. Um, that was post NYSC. Actually, I lie. My very first job was at the Quadrant Company, and then followed by Tequila. And these are both Nigerian businesses, right? And then I moved to Anderson. After Anderson is a global brand. And then as my first exposure to actually seeing what it means to standardize how your brand looks like, feels like, how it operates, how people work together, how they collaborate across countries. And then I moved on to, so I have to think about this again. Yeah, I moved on to British American Tobacco. And that is a really global brand, right? And followed that with Coca-Cola, another really global brand. And that is, what, 9 years of work altogether. So when you compare those brands to Seplat Energy, you ask yourself, is it really? Because the way I saw or I see global brands is multiple country representation. I see multiple ethnicities and people, but there's a uniformity and a consistency in how the brand is represented, how the brand speaks, how it looks, what the logo looks like, what the messaging is about. It has to be standard, what the brand goals and objectives are, how the consumers or customers perceive the brand tend to be similar. If I use the Coca-Cola brand, which is probably my best brand I ever worked for, it's happiness in a nutshell, right? And that happiness is what transcends languages, it transcends color, it transcends gender, everything. Wherever you go and you talk about Coca-Cola, it's a bottle of happiness. So let's come down to Seplat. I joined Seplat in May 2023. So someone told me, said to me, Chioma, is there any industry you haven't worked in? And I think the only one I haven't done is platforms. I haven't done in Google. And I actually was targeting Google at a point. So how do you move from financial services? So I was in Access Bank for 4 years, Diamond Bank for 3.5 years. How do you move from that to energy? And then how do you move to an indigenous energy business with an international presence or international listing? So Seplat as a global brand is a dual-listed Nigerian business. It is the first and probably the only energy business listed both in Nigeria, Premium NGX Exchange, as well as the London Stock Exchange. So the fact that Seplat Energy is listed on the London Stock Exchange sort of puts us on the map of being, sort of global outside Nigeria. So the UK business is made up of the London office and the Aberdeen businesses. And then the Nigerian business is made up of locations in Owerri, in Oben, Edo State, in Sapele, in Delta State. And fingers crossed, the much talked about mobile producing acquisition happens that extends to Akwa Ibom. And what is it that Seplat has done differently, even before my time, was this small indigenous company that started from two men having this crazy dream in 2010 to come together and build a business, evolved to 2014 when they took a huge risk. And I say that because the likes of Oando did the same thing and backed out. They took a huge risk and they said, we are willing to take it a step up and take our corporate governance, our quality standards, the offering that we have to the international marketplace, and they listed on the London Stock Exchange. For those of you who, and I don't know, I guess it's varied backgrounds here, but if you understand when you have to list on the exchange, there's a lot of transparency that goes into that. So when we look at global brands and the fact that everything you have, you own, you know, you do, you speak is right out there, Seplat took that risk in 2014 and said, not only are we going to be listed in Nigeria, we're going to be listed in the UK. So everything we do, our standards will now be uniform across board. We will now not just be governed by what the Nigerian Stock Exchange says, but the London Stock Exchange, which asks you to really unpack everything about your business. And you must standardize. Then in 2019, 2020, they relooked at their vision, mission, values, and the objectives of the business. And in doing that, they revamped what the brand stood for. So the number one thing that the Seplat brand stands for is safety.